day's finally here. An entire year of budget films.
Oh, and what a year it has been.
We went from these humble stock photos
To these handmade drawings.
all the way to where we are now. It's been a busy year, and we have accomplished quite a lot.
Like that time you made a video on peanut butter.
And that time that you saved the world from sentient machinery.
And we can't forget about the three big ones: Cold War, World War I.
And Wall Street. Oh my goodness, that was so long ago. I think it was pretty much a year now.
Honestly, I remember it like yesterday.
Todd, you weren't there. You didn't even feature in that video at all.
What? I could have sworn I was there. It's such a shame too. I always thought that one was possibly the best video.
Well, we can't have that, can we? Let's just do it again.
Really? What, now?
Of course, it is a time for celebration after all.
Alright then, I'll get into position.
Alright, Wall Street, here we go again. Alright then, since I want to stay ahead of time, I shall start to explain what the Wall Street crash and Great Depression actually was. So back in the days of the Roaring Twenties, the Americans were pretty happy about themselves after they managed to win World War I. There were of course the businessmen.
How do I make more money? I mean, improve upon the American nation. I know, I will invent a refrigerator. Yes, I have a very good feeling about this.
To start with, may I please say, good job, American businessmen. That was very clever of you. And also, this did make businessmen in America very wealthy because many citizens had excess cash, meaning that they could afford to buy these refrigerators. Just so you know, refrigerators are simply an example just to give you an idea of how much money people had. So, as we come into the late 20s, the banks are, as usual, thinking,
What way could we generate more money for the citizens of our great nation? I know. We could set up a business of sorts where people can essentially buy parts of other businesses. Genius. We will call it the stock market.
Now, this was a pretty smart move on the bank's end because they would pretty much make the most money long term from this. So, think of it like this. People borrow money from the bank.
15 monogonals, please.
Alright, just sign here, here, and here.
Then they earn interest.
Okay, just one monogonal left to pay, and then I'll owe the bank nothing.
Then they invest in small companies.
Cool, I now own 0.5% of the Quadrilateral Inn.
That company will either be a flop or a smash hit. This makes the shareholder money, depending on which outcome.
I can either put this in my bank and be responsible, or I could invest in nose wrestling.
And thus began a never-ending cycle of wealth just flowing through Wall Street. Too bad that this never-ending cycle suddenly ended. The stock market had a couple major flaws in its creation. For a start, it didn't have anybody monitoring it, which is never good when you're dealing with big investments like these. Secondly, it came to a point where almost everyone was investing, so your shares would sell down in price quicker than you could say anti-disestablishmentarianism. Suddenly, your stock worth thousands of monogonals could be worth hundreds of monogonals. This made the people of America fall into deep debts with the banks. Eventually, the banks had to just completely shut down because too many people panicked at the thought of them closing their accounts. Life was made particularly bad for workers, such as farmers, with having a lot of their scenarios play out like this.
Oh, my prices are too low. I have no clue as to how I'm going to make enough money to last out here. My best option seems to be to make more crops.
So they did, but it didn't change.
Oh, nothing has changed. Now I will not be able to pay my mortgages.
And then, of course,
Alright, mister, we're taking your land until you can pay us back.
And so on, so on. On the other hand, businessmen had similar problems with their scenarios commonly running out like this.
What do you mean we haven't sold in over 2 months? Does everyone seriously already own a refrigerator? But I can't come up with another idea like this on such short notice. I guess it's time to start cutting the wages and sacking employees.
So, as you could guess, this sort of crash rippled like a rock thrown into a pool of water, or like bacteria multiplying and getting worse as each passing day went by. People went into depression, and speaking of, the next section is about just that. The depression is fairly self-explanatory. People lose jobs, plus companies going bankrupt equals low income for basically everybody. This made people generally sad the majority of the time, and Herbert Hoover was really in a pinch. He was too ill-prepared to cope with the depression. There were people on the streets, in warehouses, anywhere you could get some shelter. There was even soup being handed out for the community because how little people could afford food. But it all changed when Franklin D. Roosevelt became president. His radio talk shows really brought people together and boosted the morale. This kept the American citizens' hopes up until World War II, when they got out of their financial crisis. Generally, you get the idea. Low income, homelessness, sometimes even as far as suicide. Next up, let's have a check-in at Germany. Let's take a look at Germany. Maybe they're doing better than America. Sadly, this is not the case. They had people losing jobs, moving out, and fleeing. See, the reason as to why Germany was in such a tricky situation was because pretty much as soon as America's GNP plummeted, they remembered that they had lent a significant amount of money to Germany, and they wanted it all paid back as soon as possible. This was the case for several other countries as well, so this in turn made not only America poor, but in fact a bunch of other countries in Europe also poor. Germany's unemployment reached 6 million, and to top it off, Hitler decided that he was done being an artist. He managed to turn Germany into a dictatorship. This was before the events of World War II, when he slaughtered countless of millions of people. The education program changed dramatically as well. The curriculum became glorified Hitler propaganda. Students would have to swear loyalty to Hitler daily and learn maths, PE and biology all day, every day. To give a comparison, let's take a quick look at Scotland. They had a democratic leader, Ramsay MacDonald, and their unemployment peaked at around 3.5 million, which is a lot better than Germany's. The education system was closer to a modern day system with the exception of beatings. These two countries share two things in common. They both experienced a massive profit loss, and it was all Wall Street's fault. So here we are once again. It feels like it was just yesterday that I was here at this end screen. Thank you to absolutely anyone who has came here to watch this. Whether you've been around since the original Wall Street video, or you joined us in Phase 2. Maybe you've never even watched any of these videos and this is your first one. It doesn't matter. We're all here to celebrate our first year anniversary. And it's been an amazing year for this channel. And I'm really excited for the next one. I've got so many things planned and hopefully I can be back here in another year. I can't wait to see what videos are going to look like then. For now, I'm going to sign off, but hopefully I'll be seeing everyone here very, very soon for a very special upcoming video. But until then, I give my final. You're welcome.
A
Budget
Budget
Films
Films production.